What's that noise? Kyle, what's that noise? It's an emergency podcast, our first one. Welcome to Evil Pacersrecap Live. Kyle had no idea the silly sound effect was coming there. We're so happy to have you join us. If you haven't, like, subscribe, all that stuff helps us out. Trying to give away a signed Tyrese Haliburton basketball if we get to 1,000 subscribers. The Pacers just traded for Ivica Zubac at the deadline. What are your initial thoughts? What are your initial thoughts, Kyle?
All right, let's go thumbs up, thumbs down on the count of three. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I have one thumb, but I would have given it 2. Okay, so you and I are both a bit higher on this than I think some of the fan base might be. Okay, here's what I think. I think you got to give up something to get something. And we've gotten used to, as Pacers fans watching our front office, just fleece teams for nothing. We gave up, yes, a 2-time All-Star in Domantas Sabonis for Tyrese Haliburton. At the same time, we had 2 centers, and everybody knew we were going to move one of them. And then we gave up actually nothing for Pascal Siakam, though quietly, it's only nothing because we are able to trade this year's pick because the Pacers used to have been giving up this year's pick, and then they got it back from New Orleans because New Orleans is done. You have to give up something to get something. Everybody knew that the Pacers needed a center, and there is no way around the fact that our position of need being so public and so obvious and no one stepping in to fill the gap made this tougher. If the Pacers had a center on the roster, maybe this is just the 29 unprotected first instead of this year's as well. Or maybe it's just this year's and not both. But instead, the Pacers are staring in the face 2 unprotected picks going to the Clippers, in addition to a young player who's promising in Mathurin and Isaiah Jackson, who had his early part of his career derailed by the Achilles tear. So I think this is overall a fair trade, and I think this as well. 2 seasons ago, the Pacers were in the Eastern Conference Finals. Last year, they were in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. This is when you make trades that hurt a little bit, because you believe that you have 1 or 2 or maybe 3 years to actually win the title. And I kind of can't believe I'm saying it. It makes me smile just saying that sentence out loud. But the East is not the West. The Pacers are the 2-time have represented the Eastern Conference, have been in the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years in a row, I should say, and are the defending Eastern Conference champions. This is when you make these kinds of moves that hurt a bit. This one hurts a bit. And I think we'll get into the specifics of it a bit later, but that's what I think right off the bat. Where are you?
Yeah, my initial thoughts, I was like, just please, 2026 pick, do not be in this draft. The protections, at first, I was still like, man, that kind of sucks. But honestly, the more I think about it, I'm comfortable if the pick does fall between 5 and 9 in giving that up for a very high quality center. And that's kind of how I feel. I'm not that worried about the unprotected pick in 2029. If the Pacers do keep this pick and it falls into the top 4, I mean, absolutely gangbusters, incredible. That's completely, just dream scenario, obviously. It'll be fascinating to see what this tank race looks like, because so many teams at the bottom just have no motivation to rack up W's. And some of them have incredible reasons to lose as much as possible.
Can I ask for, before we move into the picks and the protections and where Zubac is going to fit on the team, I want to pour one out for Ben Mathurin. Wicked K-pop. Always will hate the front office for giving up on Ben. You know what? I think it's been bumpy, to say the least, because you're talking about the front office giving up on him. I mean, let's rewind a couple years, and I think a lot of us felt like Rick Carlisle had a very, very short leash with Ben. And I mean, I felt at the time that it was too short at times. You know, he says he wants someone to coach him hard. I wanted him to be on the floor a few years ago when he was drafted. The Pacers weren't a very good team. They weren't projected to be as good as they became. And what they became was a team in the NBA Finals, and what he became was a player who could help them win an NBA Finals game and put them in the game, loosely in Game 7 to win the entire thing. He showed growth from his first year to his last with the team. I think we went from him being a defensive player who was loud in his defensive mistakes to a defensive player who could be quiet in his defensive steadiness. And that's a plus for him. His first 2 years on the team, he and Tyrese were a negative when they played together. By last year, they were basically treading water or a bit above it when he was on the floor. And obviously, he came out at the start of the season just ripping on fire with a total, free reign to do whatever he wanted to. And those first few games of the season, I thought to myself, oh my God, if this is the player that he actually can be and that he actually is, we've got to have him back. And then, of course, the injuries took over. But I just want to, before we move to questions about Zubac, before we talk about fit and picks and protections, I wanted to say that about Ben Mathurin. Look, the truth is he was not my favorite Pacers player. I know that he was other people's favorite player. People loved his attitude. They loved the competitive fire he played with. I love those things too. And also pour one out for Isaiah Jackson. I really, really feel for him as far as the Achilles tear goes, because the truth is,
huge opportunity though for him.
We did not get to see him play to the level he would have hoped he would have been. And I agree, this is for him probably a better situation than staying on the Pacers would have been.
Yeah. So as far as Ben Mathurin goes, like I had a few tweets that I got off about Mathurin before the trade happened, just because I saw something about like his Game 7, like a box score looked amazing, 24 points, 13 rebounds, but most of that happened when the game was basically over. He scored 16 points with 6 minutes left, and the Pacers were already down 19. They lost the game by 12. His Game 3, amazing. One of the best Pacers performances, most important Pacers performances in the playoffs, in their history. That Game 3 was huge. But the next 3 games after the Game 3, he scored 17 points on 4 of 19 shooting. In the whole playoffs overall, just weren't great. And I think Ben's got a better chance of reaching his potential somewhere other than here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think the fit just, I don't think it was ever going to work well enough with how the Pacers want to play, and Ben's more deliberate style that just doesn't fit the random action, make a quick decision in the half second that they want guys to make. He made progress through over his 3.5 years here, but it just never clicked. I was looking at all of he had the worst net rating on the team among the rotation guys in the playoffs last year. I was looking at how it lined up with when he played with everybody. The only guy that he played more than 50 minutes with that he was positive with was Tyrese, and it was only +1 point over 150 minutes. So it just didn't work out, unfortunately. And I really hope he kills it in LA. Like you said, I love his attitude. I love his competitive fire. It's awesome. And at the beginning of the year, it looked like he was on a mission. And then the injuries seemed to kind of pile up and derail him a bit. And he tries to play through things. I don't know how much that was affecting him this year when things didn't feel like they were going as well. But I'm really excited to see what he can do in LA. And I think it's the best thing for his career to just kind of find a new place and see how it goes. So where do we want to start with first with the Zubac?
Let's talk about the basketball part of basketball. And let's talk about him being on the team. I think this is Brendan. I think this is the right place to start. So Zubac is more of a traditional center in the screening, rebounding, defending sense. And of those traits, I know a lot of fans are going to gravitate toward the rebounding. That's not something that I am, frankly, as high or low on. I think like Andrew Nemhard and Aaron Nesmith could serve to be better rebounders, and it would help the team a lot too. The screening really appeals to me. I am very worried, and there's like numbers to back this up. Players who come back from Achilles tears do not get to the rim at the rate they used to before the tear. This is true of everybody. It's true of the guards who have Achilles tears, and it's true of the guys you don't think of as being rim threats, like Kevin Durant. It's true of him too. A screener who's going to like carve out space for Tyrese is going to help him get 2 feet in the paint. That style, the 2 feet in the paint and spray, is what makes the Pacers' whole offense work. The same kind of screens will help Nemhard a lot. It'll carve out space for him to get into that mid-range shot that we like. And defensively, I think this year has clarified just how important having competent defenses on the perimeter. We're talking about like Zubac is at this point in his career, I mean, he's probably just straight up better than Miles Turner. And I don't know that like the mobility aspect is necessarily going to be a positive, but he was all defensive second team last year. I mean, on a team that needs some help on the defensive end, the rebounds I'm taking as a bonus. The screens are a huge win. Caitlin Cooper, who all of you should be subscribed to if you can afford to be, has written about the Pacers' needs at center really well. I know she's very, very high on the fit and talks about it much more with much more sophistication than me. Check out the piece she wrote about it. I'm not concerned about it at all. I'm very optimistic about it. And by the way, the Pacers have the rest of the year to keep experimenting with that Johnny Furphy at the 5 lineup. That could be a wrinkle they throw in against other teams who may be more comfortable playing without a traditional center.
Yeah, I think having the optionality and being comfortable already with playing Obi at the 5, as well as these new look lineups where they have kind of the Jarris. They're calling Jarris a 0.5, but it still feels like kind of Pascal and Furphy maybe I think any of those guys you could probably call the 5 in this kind of small ball lineup they've been using lately. But having those different options, and then you have Jay Huff as kind of the stretch big option. They have a lot of looks that they can go to now. Once this team is like full and ready to go next year, it's very exciting. Like as far as the offensive fit, like I saw some people like worried about like, is the lane going to be too clogged up for Pascal now? Like I'm not that worried about it, honestly. Like it'll maybe cause some things to be a little more crowded at the rim, but like Pascal's played in many years in Toronto and was still an incredible player with the spacing much worse than it will be with Zubac here. Like his screening, I think, is the best thing about the offensive game. I agree with you. That's going to help Tyrese as he comes back from the Achilles tear. He's never had a big that screens anywhere close to that. Like I think the Pacers went to kind of the no contact slip screen almost constantly with Miles because that's not his strength. It was just get out quick, avoid any of those accidental offensive fouls, and let's just keep it moving quick. And it worked for them. That was one of the best pick and roll combos in the league. Like I'll keep it with offense for now, but and if he's not the one setting the screen, then like you have the more traditional guy in the dunker spot as a big, and he can finish those as good as anybody. So like he's not going to be the guy that's typically going to light up the scoreboard, but like when he rolls to the rim, I think Caitlin before the trade had happened had mentioned like he's one of the most frequently guys that forces a tag on a roll, which is where like somebody helps to cover the roll man, and then that opens up the corner 3. So like his gravity when he rolls might not have shooting gravity, but he has that roll gravity, which is going to make it even easier for Tyrese to make those passes that he loves to make. So yeah, I agree. I think the fit offensively should work great. And like if it's a lineup, if they're playing a team where like it's not a Zubac night and it makes more sense to go small, they have the options for that. And I think his contract being like as solid as it is, like the next 2 years, it's still only like 21 or something. I don't know how the trade kicker, how much that affect. I think Jake Fisher mentioned it was like $2.4 million bonus for him for getting traded. But it's like that's a great deal for it. And then you still have room to keep guys potentially, hopefully, like Obi making around what he does. And then you're not as worried about going too far into the tax, hopefully. So, like, his contract being where it at helps keep other people, keeps your options open for all the different lineups you can do. I'm really excited about the fit and excited to see how it works.
I think there's one thing that is it's just on the back of my mind, and it's gonna be at the front of my mind: 3-point shooting. If the fit for the whole starting lineup isn't working, it's going to be because Andrew Nembhard goes back to shooting like 27% from three, and Aaron Nesmith is not back at 42%, and Pascal Siakam is not back at 38%, and everybody's just a little bit worse. Then the paint gets clogged, because if Andrew Nembhard is not a threat at all on the perimeter and Zubac doesn't take threes, period,
none,
and one of Nesmith and Siakam aren't making threes, then it gets tough. Or if Tyrese can't create the separation, with the step back that he used to be able to, maybe the calf isn't quite there for that. Okay. We know he's had hamstring problems that have prevented him doing that well in the past. That's the only sort of it's in the back of my mind. Like, the next trade the Pacers make, probably in my mind, is like backup point guard, 3-point shooting. Those are the two things I'm thinking about, because I think most other positions on the floor they got covered.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because if Nembhard goes towards the area where he's not shooting very well, then you have two non-shooters, and that's always kind of where it seems to get tough. And yeah, like we said, Zubac doesn't shoot threes, 12 in his entire career. He's just not gonna take them. I don't think that's gonna change. Rick talked about just he's just ultra physical. All of those things. The Pacers haven't had a center like this since Sabonis, and Zubac is bigger, thicker. It's just going to be even more physical. Obviously, the game that everybody thinks of as a Pacers fan is when he nearly put up a 30-30 night against the team. I don't think. What about defense wise? I mean, we haven't. We talked a little bit about his rim protection. He's all defense second team last year. Yeah, fast forward to the draft, definitely.
I was going to say, I think, we're gonna turn to the tanking in the draft, I think, in a moment.
Yes, his rim protection numbers are elite. Even this year, it's 53% at the rim that he's holding opponents to, which is right about in line with Rudy Gobert, who's at 52.5 when I looked it up today. So, as good as anybody in the league at stopping guys at scoring at the rim. I'm a little concerned about defensively. The Pacers like to play bigs more towards the level instead of drop. I don't know if how the Clippers played him, if it was mostly drop with Zubac, if that's going to be an adjustment for the Pacers to kind of go to more of a drop coverage scheme to accommodate his strengths, or if they think he can do the more at the level, right where the screen starts, and then moving back with the play. We'll see. But I trust the coaching staff that they'll figure out the best way to use a guy like that. And like I said, if it's not a matchup where he works as well, you have other options to go with.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrese is going to have to be the level of defender he was at the end of last season. If he reverts to how he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it's going to be trouble, and there's frankly no amount of post defense that can cover it up.
But you also have to, I mean, you just mean Tyrese on the ball, because there's not going to be that many situations where Ty on the ball is going to be too much of an issue. He's going to be guarding the worst possible perimeter threat.
I'm thinking already of okay, what are the Knicks going to do? What are the Cavs going to do? What are the Pistons going to do? So these teams with like good guard play, the Knicks worries me more because, you know, like Cat's on the perimeter and Brunson is just going to like, I mean, we've seen this in the playoffs multiple times. They're going to pick on Tyrese's defender until they get him in the action. Then I'm a little bit more worried.
The Pacers are not going to guard Cat with Zubac. There's just no way. I think they'd put him on a wing.
It's getting trickier. It's getting trickier. But yeah, this is a problem for another time.
There. when the playoffs are a thing again that we can think
in
about.
2027.
I can't wait.
All right, let's it's 2026. The draft is coming up. I think we should just have this part out. The pick protections and the draft. Okay. Let's do
Okay.
Can I do the easy part right now? Everything is great if the Pacers get the number 1 pick. Dream.
Fantastic.
Amazing. We don't even have to talk about it. If Pacers get the number 2 pick, dream. Amazing. We don't even have to talk about it.
Should I show the odds? Things
start
here?
to get trickier after that. Yeah, pull up the odds. Okay, so here's basically what it comes down to. For the 3 worst records in the league, and I put out a tweet about this. If you go to Kyle Taylor, I have sort of my cheat sheet, depending on what you decide you want the Pacers to do. The top 3 picks are basically 50-50. We keep the pick if it's in the top 4. It goes to the Clippers if it's 5, 6, or 7. Easy. If you're in the bottom 3, it's a coin flip. If you want the chance at a top 3 pick, this is where you have to be. Or a top 4 pick. You have to be in the bottom 3. Things start to get trickier almost immediately after that, but I'm going to go to what I think is the worst outcome. Personally, I think the worst outcome is the Pacers picking 10 through 30. This, to me, represents I don't know about a catastrophe, but it's bad. If the pick is 10 through 30, that means that we are sending another unprotected pick to the Clippers in 2031, and we are getting a pick now in 10, 11, 12, 13, who is 50-50 chance of being a rotation player, and probably not while the Pacers are good. That is not good. If the Pacers pick top 4, they get a guy who can help them win right now and in the future. If they pick 10 through 30, they don't get a player right now who can probably help them, and they give up more in the future. At least if the pick is 5 through 9 and it goes to the Clippers, which is the third option, then, yes, they don't get a player who can help them right now, but they get more players who can help them in the future, and they have more flexibility to make trades in the future. To me, of the 3 options, I would rank pick 10 through 30 last. I personally would go all in on the top 4 pick, but I understand the people who are it's not that big of a deal as long as you're bottom 6. Let's just roll the dice and see what happens. Where are you?
Yeah, I think, definitely the 10 through whatever is the worst possible. I don't think the Pacers were the ones that were we want the pick back if we get to 10. The Clippers were the ones that wanted if it's this, we don't want it.
Totally.
We'd rather have a pick in the future. So, yeah, I think that's definitely true. Obviously, the Pacers would be a lot more fun to watch the rest of the year if they were winning a bunch of games, but I don't want to see that happen in the slightest, to be quite frank. It's going to be fascinating to see the direction that the team tries to take as the season slowly comes to a close here. We're not even at the All-Star break. Maybe we'll see a couple games before they kind of start shutting people down and kind of see at least give fans a chance to see Zubac with the rest of the healthy guys and gain some kind of chemistry together. But yeah, they need to do everything they can to finish as a bottom 3 record if possible. You hope that somehow the Pelicans, who are the only team on this list that they're all in red because it doesn't matter, it's going to the Hawks. Hopefully they win some games like Trey Murphy. Rest in peace to my Trey Murphy dreams. Those are over now. Scored 44 points the other day, 12 threes, and they still couldn't win. Against
I've heard
the
they
Grizzlies,
have a playoff roster,
even
Derek.
a good team.
I think you must have misunderstood.
It's baffling. The Kings are just bad. They're going to lose a ton of games, and it doesn't matter if they sit people or not. They're just going to lose. And then everybody else is supremely motivated to lose games. The Nets, the Wizards, the Jazz have protections on their pick. They don't want to give it up to OKC if it falls to, I think 8 is their top 8 protected. Yeah, it's on the graphic there. The Mavs, the Grizzlies, I don't think they care to win games at this point. The Bucks, I think, would probably prefer, even though they didn't trade Giannis, I think they'd probably prefer to rest him as much as possible. Like, it's going to be ugly in the NBA over these next couple months, and the Pacers should absolutely join the ugliness. My evil background will be back because I'm definitely feeling tank evilness still needs to happen. Yeah, like it's the unfortunate reality of what you're incentivized to do in this league.
I can accept like these other the truth is like the Pacers roster should be better than a lot of these other teams, and since January 1st the Pacers have played like a 30-win team. I will accept and sort of like quietly acknowledge if the Pacers have the sixth worst record in the league. That's kind of my cutoff line. If they fall there, another team, if they're winning some and it's because they're incorporating Zubac and they're like trying some stuff and maybe Jarris and Johnny are playing well and like win them a couple games, I'm not going to be mad. Beyond sixth is where I start to get really feeling like we're going the wrong way. I do not want any chance that the Pacers pick is 10th or worse. Sixth is the cutoff for that. At sixth, the worst you can be is 9. And that would be, if we sent the 9th pick for Zubac, that would be fine. It's just that you can't really control that sort of 7, 8, 9 range. You can just increase your odds and it's risky. Anyway, I'm personally a bit more ambivalent as to like if the Pacers have the 3rd worst, 4th, 5th, or 6th worst record in the league. I'm not really ambivalent. I'd like them to be bottom 3. I just kind of think that they're going to be better than these other teams. And if they happen to have the 5th worst record, I'm not going to be upset.
Lottery nights was already going to be stressful, but we'll be sweating. I'll be sweating for sure. I'm really hoping I have to eat the tweet that I said that they that they won't get a top 3 pick. It'll be it'll taste so good now, especially after this trade, if I have to eat that. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go from here?
We did, yeah. I do want to shout out your little nameplate getting to Croatia quickly for those who didn't see it. Jason caught it. Hrvatska is the name for Croatia in the native language.
It only shows up on this screen without the ticker.
You're gonna have to start getting like the red and white checkerboard kit that they wear for soccer.
I'm feeling my Zach Lowe a little bit. I had to get it off.
Yep. I listened to Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe were live when the trade broke, and I caught a bit of that episode before we went on. It was very interesting. Initially, they were like, because they're live, right? There's a 10-minute gap there when Sham says the Pacers are trading for Zubac, and we have no idea what it is. In that 10-minute period, Zach and Bill were like, "Boy, do you think they put in the 2026 pick?" And Bill's like, "Well, it's a top 3 draft, maybe a top 4. So if they could get Zubac for top 5 protection, that would be okay. But worse than that, I don't know." And then it comes, and Zach's like, "I don't know that they should trade it." And then it comes out, and Zach's like, "Yeah, I guess I can see the vision." It summarized how finely balanced this trade is, and both of them were very much of the opinion like the Pacers are coming for the East and they should go for it. This is an interesting question from Kevin related to what we're talking about with Bill and Zach. On a scale from Tyrese to Wiseman, where does this trade rank in Pacers history? Now, you are the Pacers history guy, so I'm going to default to you mostly here, but here's my initial reaction. The Pacers have not been in they've acted like they've had win now moves in the past. This is as close to win now as I feel that I can remember, and it feels different for that reason. So it's almost like I want another way to think about it, because this is a trade whose justification it completely lies in the future. If the Pacers are back in the NBA Finals in 16 months, 17 months, whatever it is, nobody's going to care. I'm not going to care what the pick will have been. I'm not going to care about the future pick. Even if they're in the Eastern Conference Finals, I'm probably going to say, well, this was worth it. And that is the place we are now. Whereas these other trades, Wiseman was a gamble. Tyrese is like, we think this is going to work out. This time it's like, we're in. That's it. Is there anything that comes close, Derek? I mean, I've got more like 10 years of like deep Pacers history. You've got, a bit more.
Like in terms of like level of player, like the name that popped up immediately was like trading for Jalen Rose.
Okay. Yeah.
Like maybe that's kind of the level. And Jalen might, like, he was eventually like the leading scorer for the team that went to the final, so that might be a little much. Or maybe it's Derek McKee for when they traded Detlef Schrempf for Derek McKee. But obviously, like, I don't know what they gave up for Jalen Rose, honestly. But there's like the pick capital wise, this is one of the biggest, like the unprotected and like far in the future. Like it's one of the like most risk trades that they've had. I mean, the only future unprotected first, like multiple years in advance I can think of right now is the 1984 pick that they gave up for Tom Owens.
You were watching every game back then, weren't you? What was Tom Owens like?
Oh, yeah. It was 5 years before I was born. The draft was 5 years before I was born. Him playing was well before that. But that was the pick that the Blazers ended up passing on Michael Jordan with. So that's like the pick that the only one I can think of where it's multiple years in advance where it's unprotected. So like it's a long time. Like when you said win now, like I thought of like this is the first time they've made kind of these win now moves since like Evan Turner and Andrew Bynum, which were a different kind of win now moves. George Hill, great. Yeah, that's a good call out for a trade there. That might be a similar like level of player trade. Like in terms of level of player, that might be pretty close. I like that call out, Brendan. It's like the Pacers have made a lot of trades over their career. I don't think it doesn't touch Tyrese. Because it led to Tyrese, I don't think it touches the Paul George trade, although technically Zubac is a part of the Paul George trade tree.
I knew we were
in the most ridiculous way possible. And the most ridiculous way possible because the Pacers 2026 draft pick that they just maybe traded in this trade is in the tree because of Mojave King being included in a trade. So it's like he's a distant relative. But he can trace his heritage back to Paul George.
How is he related
it's
to
just
Mojave King?
Mojave King was in the deal how is Mojave King like tied to the Paul George
trade? How is he related to this? Yeah.
To the Zubac trade? So Mojave King and the 2025 Pacers first was traded for the 2026 Pacers first.
Okay. So the only way they could I'm with you.
He's not a direct descendant of Paul George, but he is a distant relative, like a cousin twice removed.
I'm glad. I want to see the updated Paul George tree with Zubac on it somehow.
Yes, he'll be on there. It's on the agenda to do. It was already on the agenda because of the 2026 pick being part of it somehow. Tony East, by the way, does not like that I'm including like these ridiculous things like this on the tree. But to me, like it's just what it is. There's a connection. I have to draw the connections. I should have had that ready to put up on the graph on the screen for anybody who hadn't seen it. Totally lost my train of thought. But the Pacers have made a ton of trades. Like it doesn't line up with any of the like the biggest trade. I don't think it's not the Tyrese trade. It's not the Siakam trade. It's not the Jermaine O'Neal swap. Dale Davis getting Jermaine O'Neal. It's not at that level for any of those, but those were more of the Pascal, I guess, is a win now. That's a huge win now.
It's a win, but the stakes are different. It's a win now, but
it's like it's getting into a window. This is like trying to make sure you can jump through the window.
I agree. When they traded for Pascal, I think that they wanted to go from on the outside of the playoffs to winning a series, and then they won 2. Whereas this trade is like, I mean, in my opinion,
we can win a title. We have to give ourselves the best chance.
This is the Pacers saying to Tyrese, Pascal, and the rest, like we believe that you can win the title. Go win the title, which is just not. I mean, it's just I just cannot believe I'm saying that. I really can't believe I'm saying that. I want to give the front office credit here. Like I believe I'm going to give them credit now, but again, this is a trade we're going to judge in the future, like fairly or unfairly. It was time to like go for it. They could have gone for it now. They could have gone for it in the summer, but they had to go for it in one of the two. And they did, because like there's no way a team without, a backup quality center is going to win 3 rounds and make the finals, let alone 4. So if there are other aspects of the trade that you want to hear us talk about or something you feel like we've glossed over, we talked about fit, put it in the chat. We've talked about fit. We've talked about tanking. I am hoping, next week, the Pacers have a back-to-back in the city where I live. I'm from Indy, but I live in New York. And one of those games is the front end is against the Knicks. The back end is against the Nets. If we've seen anything recently from the Pacers, it's that they will throw the second half of the back-to-back. Perhaps Pascal Siakam is going to have an elbow issue and Zubac will suddenly have hip problems and an extended paternity leave. But if they are playing, especially if they're playing against the Nets, I might try and get to the Nets game. If the guys are playing, especially if Zoo's playing, I might get to that Nets game and see them in person.
Would be very cool. It's the second night of a back-to-back, so I hope they did the same thing, though, that they did recently against the bad team, and that's the one. Let's just start the All-Star break early. Lots of people will rest that day. Sorry, Kyle. If you want to see the whole team,
you might be paying people to go to the game, though. Think about that. Nets Pacers last game before the All-Star break. I think they might pay me to visit.
They might, and it might be worth going anyway, just to see the young guys that aren't the top dogs on the Pacers roster. But if you want to see all the guys, I think you might have to pony up for some garden
Not
tickets.
sure about that. I am not sure about that. This is a good question. We talked about Brendan's asking about 3-point shooting. Do you think Carlisle encourages shooting from him? This is very interesting. Like the Sabonis thing is the smart connection, because
we saw Tony Bradley take threes,
and Sabonis didn't take them at all, and now he does. It's interesting to think about. I mean, it's possible. The answer to that is yes. I guess, in fact, if I had 12 threes for his career, we talked that someone put that up earlier. I bet he takes more than 12 next season, and it might be like 10 to 15 for the season. But I think you're right. I think that there will be like a, when you're wide open, you got to shoot.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about Tony Bradley
in memoriam,
practicing threes a ton this offseason. He took some like just in fan jam that were a little funny.
Every now and then, I'm derailing us here, but every now and then I think back to Tony Bradley taking a 3 in the Wizards game last year when the Pacers posted one of the 3 best offensive performances.
One of the only shots they missed in that entire game.
They posted one of the best offensive performances of all time in professional basketball. And it was so good that they were trying to get everybody to make a 3. And Tony Bradley took a corner 3, and it didn't hit the side of the backboard. It hit behind the backboard. It hit
I don't even know what that part of the goal was called.
And Quinn Buckner
the neck of the
I don't even know what it's called. Quinn Buckner just is dying of laughter. Kristen Airy plays the straight man trying to play it off and says, "Oh, he made a 3 against Minnesota." And Quinn says, "No, partner, that's not what this was." And then the booth replays it in slow motion as the Pacers, bench center throws a 3 behind the backboard. Anyway, shout out to Tony Bradley. I took us away from this. I'm sorry.
It's all good. I don't even remember where we were at.
taking threes.
It wouldn't shock me. I don't think it'll be a ton, but every once in a while we might see him.
I guess his first game probably is.
We'll know if we start seeing him ringing the bell.
Wow. Yeah, that you're gonna have to be the one who reports on the bell ringing.
Tony Bradley was ringing the bell this summer, so that shows you what all the just shooting in an empty
So we've
gym
got away
means. Milwaukee.
Man, I feel for Pacers for the home fans, because it's away until February 22nd against Dallas.
yeah, like by the time they're back home, they might really be ready to start shutting people down.
We
to
will
be
get a Ben
honest.
Mathurin revenge game on Wednesday, March 4th.
That's going to be
And
awesome.
a second one.
Like,
We
I
haven't played the
can't
Clippers
wait.
at all. And then a second one, March 27th, home against the Clippers. Those will be fun.
I can't wait to see Ben Mathurin against his former teammates.
He is going
I
to
can't
go
wait.
crazy.
I am so excited for that game. I am so excited for that. I hadn't even thought about that like element. Just seeing, I'm so glad he's in the West because I do feel like he's the type of guy who is going to like very much want to kill the Pacers every time, and he probably
Karis
will.
LeVert on steroids.
Yeah, exactly. And I was so glad that's another great trade. Is this above or below the Karis LeVert trade? Above, even though like
Zubac was just
like
receiving votes for Defensive Player of the Year.
That's fair, but Drew is like the reason the Pacers won lots of playoff games. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's close. All right. What else we got in the chat here?
I mean, I think the options here for Zubac's debut is for tomorrow, 24 hours from now against the Bucks, or away in Toronto. You know, I have to say
against Miles would be incredible. As multiple people have said in the chat, that would be incredible, an incredible matchup to see immediately. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen.
I know they said he was out for paternity reasons. Did he actually just have a kid?
Yeah, that one a real reason.
I would not be surprised if they're like, "Hey, take a couple weeks, be with your kid after you pass this."
Why don't they give him a week with his
relax?
Kid? You know,
the All-Star break.
1 week of paternity leave. Oh, it turns out it's 2.
Exactly, perfect. It's like it would make a perfect sense. Like you immediately show this guy that you're a family-run organization. You care about things like this. Just what a better way to make a great impression on your new center. As excited as we all are to watch him play eventually.
Gosh. Yeah, I think I am guessing that we do get the debut before the All-Star break. And then my guess is, given that they've got him on the roster, I was looking at the schedule. There's like a home stand after the All-Star break that ends on March 1st. And then we get a pretty serious West Coast road trip, LA, Portland, Sacramento. And I'm thinking that
Sacramento,
that might be around the time that we start to see some, hip soreness and elbow pain and back strains and
lower back pain.
A lot. I mean, Pascal Siakam's got to have a lot of back pain from his attempts to
carry the team the entire year.
That's my guess. I think we're looking at let me find the schedule again. What does that give us? Around and after the All-Star break, something like 8 games.
I wish they played the Wizards much later in the season where they could just be completely brazen about how many people they're going to rest, but both teams are going to do it. But they play the Wizards back-to-back immediately after the All-Star break. Those are going to be – it's so funny to think about the tank race and all of that. One thing we haven't talked about, we talked about Mathurin a lot, I think – using him in this trade, I think, was important that they did it now because of the base year compensation stuff that makes it much harder to trade him in the summer if he found someone to give him a contract that he likes. Finding a deal now, they didn't wait too long. And I think if you see the issue with waiting too long with the Warriors and Kuminga, things got so sour there by the end that they had to combine him and take a chance on Porzingis, who feels like he's been ill for 2 straight years. So I really like that they were able to find something that makes a lot of sense to include Mathurin in a deal. They kept his value as high as they could, even though the fit wasn't great for a lot of the time. They didn't let it bottom out.
And it's a good I really think it's a good situation for him. I've always been a big Ty Lue fan. I think he's one of the 3 or 4, 5 best coaches in the league. I think he's phenomenal. I think that it'll be interesting to see what kind of player he develops into there. You're exactly right. I mean, the Pacers have generally tried not to have put themselves in a situation where they're
like Miles last year. They try to avoid those
exactly.
situations.
And I'm sure Herb's going to love that it keeps him under the tax. But here we are.
It's coming. He's going to have to pay it.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's not going to have to pay. The way they've set this up.
Eventually, he's going to have to pay it. This whole team is under contract until like 2028. To keep this team together beyond that, he's going to have to pay it. Plus, if they have a top draft pick, what they're going to have to pay that guy.
By that time, Siakam is not going to be still making $53 million in 2028-29.
He's going to have to pay it.
So
eventually.
even if Nembhard balls out and is making, I don't know, 35 at his next contract, I think Siakam will be making an equivalent amount less.
I think he's going to go less. All right.
I think
I want to see him open you just think he's not going to need to.
That's right.
Is what you're saying. I am hoping that if the opportunity needs to happen, that it actually does. Because that's what I wanted to see this summer, and it didn't happen.
Likewise.
So we need, at this point, I need the proof. For a long time, I was like an ownership defender. Like they hadn't really had a reason to go into the tax until potentially last summer, and they avoided it. It worked out. We'll see how it works out with these picks that they had to trade to get the new center. But yeah, we'll see. If you think they can avoid the tax for even longer,
I think it's just going to happen naturally. And I'm just like,
you're annoyed by it,
Simon. He's done it again. He's done it again. Somehow it just all works out for that man to never pay the tax.
Oh my gosh. He paid it in those big Reggie years when they had a legit shot to win it. He did pay the tax back then. We'll see if that happens.
In the meantime, you and I, after the last tankathon against the Jazz, did a DeBonsa Peterson dive for Nets game. I'm going to go back to DeBonsa, who was just like a mystery to me. He didn't have a good game against Kansas. And
we need a second look for sure. Yeah, I heard he had a great game last night, like 36 points on like 65% shooting.
The good news is
that would have been a good one to check out yesterday.
And we don't have to profile any more draft picks than that. Boozer, Wilson, DeBonsa, Peterson. I'm not going to look at anyone else because it's not happening.
Yeah, Saturday we're planning on tuning in to Boozer and Wilson. They play on Saturday, right? So we'll keep diving into those four guys. I do really enjoy that. That's an added bonus for us that we can really just focus on these top four guys in the draft. Just ignore the other ones; they don't exist to the Pacers. And we'll talk about all those guys after the Nets game on Wednesday, right before the All-Star break. I don't know. Is there anything else we want to cover? We haven't talked about Kobe Brown at all.
I don't know anything.
The Pacers traded a guy with the Mamba mentality and got a guy named Kobe.
It's a good line. I don't know a thing about Kobe Brown. Nothing. If you know, or if anybody in the chat knows anything about Kobe Brown, enlighten me.
He's shooting less than 40%. When I looked up his basketball reference page earlier today, it seems like it was just let's make this money as even as possible kind of thing. But yeah, I don't have any great or strong opinions about him. My
career 50% true shooting. That's quite bad. That's not good.
Yeah, he's listed as a power forward, 6'7". He's barely played. I just don't know what to make of him when he's averaging how much. Even in the games,
he doesn't even have 1,000 career minutes.
Average minutes. Yeah. So who knows? We'll probably see a lot of them this year.
Very important that the Pacers give him run, isn't it? Very important.
Very important. They need to know what they have in Kobe Brown. I don't think he'll be a buyout, Dom Life, maybe, but I don't think anybody's going to be interested in picking him up. Shout out to the Nets for just waiving Cam Thomas. Talk about tanktastic. You can just go. We're fine. Find another team.
This is, like I like Cam Thomas. Okay. I recognize that there's like the advanced stats don't love him and like you can go be a nerd. The dude like scores the basketball. He scores the basketball on the elite level. I don't understand it at all. If the Pacers were like good, it's like the timing is rough here because like if the Pacers were good this year, I would be saying that they should pick him up.
Yeah, I saw somebody list the Pacers as somebody who should be interested, which like it is like if the Pacers want that like off the bench scoring that they're losing in Mathurin, like that's
Cam Thomas is
an obvious.
I mean, Mathurin is better all around, but as a scorer, like purely as a scorer, I think Cam Thomas is
not very many people better.
He's outstanding.
Yeah, that's scoring. It's just a matter of does he help you in any other way? So Kobe Brown,
we can answer that now.
Kobe Brown was drafted. He was a first-round pick in 2023, 30th overall. And he has one more year on his rookie contract after this.
Very important we find out what he is.
They will need to like get a good look at him and decide if he's somebody who's a long-term
His Instagram
option.
Isn't available. Went to Basketball Reference, not there. True mystery. He's gonna get some run against the Nets next week.
He's gonna get some TJ Ford awards in the future for being an enigma and mysterious. Or did the? Well, now I'm looking at his contract, and he might have gotten his. Okay, his club option was declined. So this is for his fourth year. So this is a Jalen Smith situation. So even if he's like amazing, the Pacers are going to be limited in what they can do to bring him back. So good to know.
Yeah.
So he has not been very good. The Clippers declined his fourth-year option, like the Pacers did in the past with Solomon Hill, and the Suns did with Jalen Smith, that kind of thing. Okay, good to know. Cool. Yes, we can yell Kobe every time he shoots the ball.
He's probably very tired of that.
Oh, I would imagine.
But we'll get to find out. We will get to find out. It's Bucks tomorrow, then the Raptors, then next week they're in New York. And one of these days we will get to see Ivica Zubac suit up for the Indiana Pacers. Man, that's exciting.
Yes, we could have traded.
I did not think that it was going to happen, to be completely honest with you.
There were like multiple, like Young Simba, shout out to him on Twitter. He had like
all he's doing is throwing up eye emojis. Tweet. That doesn't count. That's nothing.
Well, he was implying that something was going to happen. Just to give him a little shout out here. There was like a random person that's like a Clippers fan. That's his bio said he was an ex-reporter. He only had like 800 followers, and he was like all over this trade all day today. But I agree. I thought once it got to like 2, like it was going to be pretty quiet for the Pacers, even with all the noise. We didn't talk at all about they made an offer for Walker Kessler that included 2 first-round picks unprotected. Which would you rather make? Would you rather them have gone through with 2 unprotected first for Kessler, Walker Kessler, or the trade they got for Zubac?
You know what? I am pulling up a games played stat here. Walker Kessler 74, 64, 58, 5.
That's an important thing we haven't brought up about Zubac. He hasn't played less than 68 games in the last like 6 years.
I mean, since 2019-20. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all of those except for 168 are all well into the 70s. And one of them I think is 80. So like availability is the best ability.
I'm not sure it's the best ability, but it's like
just in terms of that saying, he's very available.
He's very available.
He's on the floor. An important thing.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I think we've covered all we can cover. Did you? So that was just your way of saying no on Walker Kessler?
I probably would have done this instead.
Because of the injury
I would have done this instead.
My concern with it would be like he's a restricted free agent, we've heard a lot of rumors about like the Wizards potentially being interested in throwing him an offer
anymore,
sheet.
surely
I don't know
not.
I don't know how much more, now that they would be, but like still you're going to have to pay him. I don't know if like what you're going to have to pay him in addition to what you're giving up is going to be better than like what the contract is for
So
Zubac.
if Herb was if they had the green light to make that offer, which I mean reporting suggests they did, then probably they were willing to pay him an amount that would go into the tax.
There you go. All right.
That's a plus. I mean, I have a bit of a soft spot for some of these like rim rolling big like screen setting defensive centers. Jared Allen being another. So I would have liked the Walker Kessler deal just fine. I've never been as high on him as like I just straight up prefer Zubac, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, like he's a good young center, but honestly, like it feels like we haven't seen him.
Great. I mean, again, I have no
that.
like hearing that the Pacers offered that. I have no issues with them doing that at all. That makes sense to me. Yeah, that's them trying to do Tyrese Halliburton 2.0, but with the center. I get it.
Yeah, and Jake Fisher like teased something about the Pacers and the Heat talking a little bit. He wouldn't say like which center it was. Like the implication, I think, was Khalil Ware and not Bam Adebayo, because I don't know how you make that money work in any way that makes sense. In any way that makes sense for the Pacers. A trade there could have been interesting. Yeah, but I really like what they ended up with. Shout out to Kevin Pritchard, active on Twitter and active at the deadline.
I was going to roast him so much if the Pacers did not make a deal. I'm going to be honest.
They didn't make a trade after he said, I'm not sleeping, never.
I'm not sleeping at 1 a.m. and then we get to 3 p.m. and you're out. You can't do that. You can't do that. When you send that tweet last night at 1 a.m., you better be damn sure it's going through the next day. That's what I have to say about that. And he did it. So there you go.
He did it. And then he responded to Caitlin about the draft lottery being going to be wild. And he responded, yep. And he had a bunch of popcorn emojis and get your popcorn ready. May 10th. We'll live stream for sure. I don't know if Kyle will be able to at that time of day on that specific day, but I'm going to do it no matter what. And I'll have the tweet ready to eat it if need be. It's going to be a great time or it's going to be an awful time.
The odds are that we will not get a top 3 pick. We might get a top 4, but there's nothing the Pacers can do to get above 40% for top 3. Nothing.
Just it's a huge coin flip. And if they're in the top 3, there might be some coin flip tiebreakers, just lots of coin flips deciding the future of the Pacers potentially in May. I'm looking forward to it. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, all that stuff. I think we've rambled on for as long as we possibly could about this trade. We had no idea how long this would be. Our first emergency pod. I think we covered as many bases as we could, Kyle.
We did. Thanks to everybody who was in the chat. Stats we didn't know, takes that were good to hear, talk through it together. That's what this is for. We want to be a little bit different. There's a lot of Pacers people out there, but not a lot of them are doing live shows. You're the reason it's live. So thanks for stopping by after work or wherever you're coming from. And we'll be back next week. We do this about once a week, Derek and me. Next one is the Nets game. And until then, go Pacers.
All right. We'll end it on that note.